What is going on, everybody? I am back. We're going to do a quick series preview for the Angels and the Mariners series coming up, which begins tonight in Seattle. For anybody that's new, hit the subscribe button, turn notifications for more videos from Jay's Trident Podcast. We're talking Mariners. I've done a post game for every game so far. It's my goal to have one for every game this season. Going to try and go live for some games at some point. It is my goal. It's hard. I'm got a family and everything, so it's hard to jump on for like 3 hours without, looking like kind of a jerk and not, and ignoring everybody else. So I definitely try and do that. But series previews, and each game has a post-game recap, not just a series recap. I go through every game individually and look at it. And we're getting into a new series here. The first one is done. Mariners dropped 3 of 4 to Cleveland. Time to move on, bounce back, and a tough Angels team comes into town. An Angels team that is kind of been known to disappoint, especially if, listen, you probably got the two best players in baseball in Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and it's been disappointing that this group has not been able to get to the playoffs since 2014. But this is a good team. This is a good lineup, and I think an underrated pitching staff in LA. And we'll see 3 guys this series that are good pitchers, that are more than capable and have shut down the Mariners in the past. Tonight will be Reed Detmers, a young left-hander making his season debut. His fastball velocity, his velocity in general was up in spring. Sometimes the Arizona Heat can do that, but we'll see. He's a great young pitcher. He goes against another really good young pitcher for the Mariners in George Kirby, a guy I've talked about. I think could be a sleeper Cy Young candidate this season. So his campaign will get going tonight. Tomorrow night, you've got Jose Suarez, a tough lefty, going up against another Cy Young candidate, in my opinion, for the Mariners, and Luis Castillo making his second start. He was phenomenal on opening day, so hopefully he can get going. Wednesday's going to be a tough one for the Mariners. You got Shohei Ohtani. I don't need to discuss him. We know how good he is. He'll go up against Chris Flexen, who has now taken the spot by Robbie Ray, as he is on the injured list. So Wednesday is certainly a game. It's going to be very important for the Mariners to try and get tonight and tomorrow, or at least one of them, because Wednesday is going to be a tough one. Now, it happens all the time in baseball. The Angels lost Shohei Ohtani's first start of the season. I whistled when I said Shohei there, against Kyle Muller in the A's, so anything is possible, and the Mariners lineup is much better than Oakland, so sure, it's possible that the Chris Flexen Mariners can beat Shohei Ohtani, but they're certainly going to go in as the underdogs. The Angels have a deep lineup. You've got Taylor Ward, Mike Trout, Ohtani, Renfroe, Brandon Drury's a new addition. You still got Rengifo there, who's solid. You've got a Gio Urshela. I don't know if I said Hunter Renfroe yet, but Hunter Renfroe. David Fletcher's a feisty hitter. They got O'Hoop at catcher, and I think Stassi's still there as well. So they've got a pretty deep lineup. The bullpen's still giving them some issues, but they've got some arms down there that are more than capable of getting this team some outs. So they're not without hope in the bullpen either, in this series. Just pulling up, seeing what the lineups are. It looks like the Mariners lineup is out. So we'll get into that in a minute. So it's an Angels team that I think can definitely compete for a playoff spot. I think a lot of people have them down because they've just constantly been letting people down. They haven't been able to, get over the hump yet with Ohtani and Trout. But this is a team that their bullpen can hold up. I think it's a sneaky, decent rotation and a pretty good lineup. They're more than capable of coming in here and giving the Mariners some fits. As far as the first 4 games go for the Mariners, obviously losing 3 out of 4, not good. But we are still early enough in this season when it's hard to look into it too much. But you want to get on the right track. Every game counts as one. I said that in my opening night video. The wins count because every game's worth 1. Even the one on September 8th is worth the same as the one today. So get wins while you can get them. And you don't want to bury yourself. I certainly don't think the Mariners are in any trouble necessarily. I don't think they're in any trouble if they lose tonight. But you are going to get to a point eventually. It's like you got to win some games. So it'd be great to get one tonight here. I think you've got a decent chance. You've got, in my opinion, I think the second best pitcher on this Mariners staff going. So hopefully a chance for them to get the W tonight. I think they've got a good chance tomorrow night too. Wednesday is going to be up in the air. So hopefully the Mariners can maybe win a series here. And you're back to 3-4 going on the road. That's okay. The key is breaking with the good teams, beat the bad teams. I consider Cleveland a good team. I actually do consider the Angels, as of right now, the way they're built, a pretty decent team. One of the things that's hurt them is Mike Trout has not stayed healthy the last couple of years. And a lot of their guys. And Jared Walsh, another guy I didn't mention. You still got Jared Walsh in there as well. So they've had some injuries here. And then some of the flyers they took on pitchers, guys like Syndergaard. Who else did they take some fly? I don't have it up right now. I know they've taken some flyers on some guys that just haven't really worked out too well for them in the past. So, but like I said, I think it's a sneaky good rotation. And one of the guys tonight, Reed Detmers, I think is a really underrated pitcher for the Angels. Mariners lineup is out according to MLB.com. It is going to be Julio Rodriguez leading off, Ty France second, Teoscar Hernandez will hit third, Eugenio Suarez fourth, AJ Pollock hits fifth, plays left, Sam Haggerty's going to hit sixth and play second base, Tom Murphy catches and bats seventh, Cooper Hummel bat eighth and will DH, and JP Crawford will bat ninth, play shortstop. No surprise against the lefty here that AJ Pollock's in for Kelenic. That's going to be how they're going to do it unless one of those guys just can really take off and take over that position. They're going to platoon that. This is where the Dylan Moore injury hurts because you'd have Dylan Moore at second base, or shortstop tonight. So this is really the first game here we're out having Dylan Moore is going to make an impact. Good to see Tom Murphy in there. I think normally you'll have Cal Raleigh catching and Murphy DHing a lot against lefties, but I think early in the season, Cal caught so much last year. I think they're just trying to lighten his workload here a little early on and then really have him go full sprint, once we get to the dog days of summer here. So I think it's just getting Cal some rest early and not pushing it because this is a team that, you assume will be in the playoff race. Cal's going to be catching a lot of games in September and hopefully October as well for the Mariners. So important to get him some days off here early and take advantage of it early when you can. Obviously, the Mariners so far have kind of run into one of the issues we've seen. I feel like they had early last year when they got together, just the offense and pitching not really clicking at the same time for them. The offense started to hit a little bit yesterday. The pitching struggled. In the previous night, Logan Gilbert was amazing. The offense couldn't do anything. Friday night was just kind of a disaster all around. And then Thursday, finally the offense came through on opening night when Ty France hit the 3-run home run. But up until then, again, pitching on, offense struggling. So it'd be nice if the Mariners can put together a full game. It's going to be a tough task today. You got Mike Trout coming in, who I think has hit like 50 home runs in T-Mobile Park. I think he hit like 8 last year in 7 games in Seattle, something like that. Seems like every game Mike Trout hit a home run in Seattle. So they're due to keep Mike Trout in the ballpark, hopefully. So, maybe that can happen this series. We'll see. One thing, I don't do series predictions if you're here looking for that. It's baseball. It's so hard to predict. I mean, who's the Nationals, maybe the worst team in baseball, right? They could come into Seattle and sweep. It's not crazy. They split in Seattle last year in 2 games. So it's so hard to sit there and say, I think that the Mariners will win 2 out of 3. I think they're capable. I think they do have a pitching advantage in, 2 or 3 of these games. So I think they're capable of winning the series. I think Wednesday's going to be a tough one, so you'd like to see them certainly get a W tonight and tomorrow if they can. But the Angels are also capable of winning this series. They've got to feel pretty good with Detmers on the mound tonight for them as well. So, and then they've got to feel great with Shohei Ohtani going on, Wednesday afternoon. Other than that, not much else to really dive into yet. Again, we're so fresh into this season that I can't really break down the numbers. Julio's off to a nice start. That's good to see. He's been driving the ball. I've said in all my videos, but I think if we were in July right now, he'd have 3 home runs. I think he's had a couple balls that would have carried a little bit more had we been in the summer. Ty France is hitting. Good to see he's healthy. His production dropped off a little bit second half of last year, but he seems to be back healthy and ready to go. Good to see Teoscar Hernandez get his first hit yesterday. He's hitting the ball pretty hard, so he hit the ball pretty hard yesterday. It'll be nice to see AJ Pollock against a lefty. I think more in his element, that'll be good. Tom Murphy as well. I think those are guys that can really help against left-handed pitching. Other than that, let's hope the Mariners can get some W's here. Again, I am not one to hit the panic button. I'm going to sound like a broken record if you do watch all my Mariners videos. But I don't really start going into things until May. Once we get May 1st, I go, okay, like Jared Kelenic sitting 160 or something. What do we need to do now to get this left field spot figured out? Or whatever it may be. Or Marco's ERA is 6.2. What do they need to do in the rotation to make this better? Until then, I kind of let everything play out. Doesn't mean I'm not doing my videos and talking about it, but we're just going to kind of let these things play out for a month and then see what happens. Now, as again, broken record I'm sounding here, like, you can dig yourself. Like, hopefully they're not the Cincinnati. You don't want to start like the Cincinnati Reds did last year, where you're 3-20, and then yeah, you've dug yourself too much of a hole. But as long as this team is within the 500 mark, I'm not going to be too worried going into May. As far as 1-3 goes, Cleveland's a good team. It is what it is. The 1998 Yankees, who only lost 48 games, started out 1-3, 1-4, and then went on a huge winning streak. Guys, it happens. We're way too early in the season to be really diagnosing anything. I know I am. I'm not saying you can't do what you want to do. But if we're going to start going, well, what do you think of this guy? What do you think of that guy? I can't give you much answers for at least another 2-3 weeks on what I think. I just hope that, like I said, good to see Julio driving the ball. Good to see Ty France off to a hot start. It stinks that Teoscar Hernandez started out slow. But again, none of it means anything. None of it really does until we get further into the season here and really see what everyone's doing. So hopefully enjoy the series. Go M's, and I'll be back tonight for a post-game. Maybe try to go live. I'll see how it's going tonight, but I'll definitely be back for the post-game tonight. Enjoy the series, everybody. Peace. Go M's.